We're fishing a small 60-acre lake in southern Michigan, an unnamed lake because it's private and the landowners have had problems with trespassers. But like many ponds and potholes, it's great for bluegills and largemouth bass. Brian Gregory was the fellow who escorted us onto this lake. Lots of fish, he said, but no boat launching ramp. Even with four-wheel drive, you have to watch out for the soft shoreline. Bass pro Marty Wiebelhaus from Westland joined us, and he wins lots of bass fishing tournaments.
So you fish all over the country, bass fishing.
Yeah, in some of the BASS tournaments from Texas to southern Florida.
Is it pretty boring up here after catching all them big hogs down there?
No, not really. We've got some of the best bass fisheries right here in the state of Michigan right now. We've got, I believe, Saginaw Bay and Lake St. Clair are two of the best places for bass that you can go, and it's real close.
What techniques do you use? You one of those southern worm fishermen?
I use all kinds of techniques. I think it's better to know a variety of techniques instead of just trying to be good at one. I think if you can catch fish on a spinnerbait, worms, jigging pigs, different pitching and flipping, and all different kind of techniques, I think that's a key to it.
So what about our Michigan anglers at this time of year, June, maybe getting into July? What types of techniques work best, or does it depend on the day?
It depends on the day. It depends on the body of water that you're fishing. If you fish in an inland lake, you're going to have a different technique than you will for, let's say, Lake St. Clair, fishing in the river channels, or Saginaw Bay.
So give me an inland lake technique that you'd prefer.
Like we've been doing today here with the rattlestick. I think that's one of the best inland lake techniques I've ever had, and I use it on all my guide trips on inland lakes, and we catch a lot of fish. This is a rattlestick. It can be used as a surface bait, but I use it a lot as a subsurface bait. And what I do is cast it out and jerk it 2 or 3 feet down below the surface. And the lure, if you look up through the sun, I don't know if you can get it on a camera or not, it's a clear bait. It's translucent, you can see right through it, and it's got a little bit of a gold flash to it. It's my favorite color, is a gold ghost color. And what you do is you cast the lure out, and you got to work with a system of jerking the rod tip on slack line, bouncing slack line, and reeling in line at the same time. And what that does is it gives it an erratic retrieve under the surface for the lure. The lure goes back and forth like this through the water under the surface about 2 or 3 feet down, and the bass will just come up and just slam the lure. And it's I catch a lot of fish on my guide trip, sometimes up to like 70 or 80 bass in a day using this bait.
What would be like the rattlestick, or similar
yeah. Lure? A Rapala, a rattling rogue, a bomber, Model A, things like that. It's a minnow type of lure.
Is that your #1 choice, a minnow lure like that?
In this type of a lake, that's what I would use, yeah. This type of lake, it's my #1 choice.
What about the spinnerbait? It's ideal for a lake like this.
Well, we fished it this morning, and we caught a lot more fish on this lure than we did with spinnerbaits. And it's not that a spinnerbait's a bad lure. I think that there's a time and place for each one. It's like a tool. You know, you're going to hammer a nail with a hammer, not a screwdriver. But the spinnerbait is a good lure because it goes through a lot of weeds. And this particular one here has got tandem blades on it. You notice it's got 2 different kind of blades. This willow leaf blade is one of the hottest baits right now in the fishing circuit, in the tournament circuit, and because it gives off a lot of flash and not a lot of vibration, but a lot of flash. And you notice the trailer I have on here too. I put a split tail eel kind of a trailer on this, and I always throw a spinnerbait with 17-pound test line. And because it seems like when you're throwing in the weeds and you're throwing around docks and things, you can get big fish on you can lift them over the side of the boat, but they don't get away, and it's really important when you're fishing in a tournament. Just for fun fishing, you don't need to put 17-pound test line on, but I don't lose too many lures because I use it. Now, one of the ways to fish this lure is I usually cast this out and make a cast to the edge of the weeds and retrieve the lure to the edge of the weeds. And then as soon as it gets to the edge of the weeds, I drop it like this and give it total slack line. And what it does is it makes the lure flutter straight down off the edge of the drop-off. Now, if you were to keep your line tight, instead of having the lure fall straight down off the drop-off, the lure will come down on an angle away from the fish. The key to it is to give it slack line. Sometimes even push the button in on the reel and peel off line and let that lure fall straight down. And then you take in the slack line and you just start retrieving it real slow. Just with the slow reeling. If you don't get nothing in the first 5 or 6 casts, I usually reel it in and cast it out and do it again. It's a very effective way. I've won a lot of tournaments doing that, and I guarantee it'll catch you more fish.
In tournaments, you don't use live bait because you want to throw all the fish back, right?
Right. Fish have a tendency to, when you use live bait, to inhale the lure or inhale the bait or the minnow and want to really swallow it deep. And a lot of people gut hook fish that way. In tournaments, the fish hits now usually set the hook in the mouth, and you rarely get a fish that you really harm.
What is the kick in tournament bass fishing? I mean, you're not used to playing the fish and watching it jump and laugh when it gets away, because that could be money.
Yeah, it's money. To me, the thrill of it is competition. I love the competition and competing against other fishermen. And it's the little things that count in a tournament to make the nitty-gritty. Losing that one fish that got away can cost you some money.
Why are bass the ones that are the competition fish?
Bass are probably the most versatile fish around. They are in little dinky ponds, they're in big, huge natural lakes, they're in the Great Lakes, they're everywhere. And they can survive in a variety of types of water, where fish like salmon, or let's say walleyes or things like that, they've got a limited area that they can stay in. Like this lake here that we're fishing in today, you couldn't have salmon and walleyes. They wouldn't survive. They wouldn't reproduce naturally.
And bass really aren't very good to eat, largemouth in particular.
No, I will eat bass out of the clear bodies of water in the area, and I might keep maybe 10 a year, and that's all. I rarely do. If I want to eat fish, I'll go catch some walleyes, or go out on a walleye charter or something and do that, or some nice panfish like the ones we caught today. Those are very good to eat.
What do you mean the ones we caught today?
Well, you did. I didn't catch any panfish.
No, I was the one who used a little plastic rub to catch a good mess of gills and sunfish and crappies. I can't resist those panfish, so I caught most fish. They caught the biggest. Dwight Kittle from Shaftesbury hoists Bob Garner's 4-pounder, the biggest bass of the day, the only one that we kept. I learned a lot from Marty Wiebelhaus about competitive bass fishing, and I enjoyed watching them battle those leaping largemouths, one of the great aerial fish acts in Michigan outdoors.